These are the 3 ways that I've replaced team members at my company with AI. Number 1, recruiting. Finding and hiring employees is one of the hardest things a CEO has to do. I used to spend so much time and money working with outside recruiters to find the right people. Since we're currently hiring for a director of operations, I use ChatGPT to recruit for me instead. Imagine you are an expert recruiter and you're helping me find a director of operations for our company. I want you to write for me an attractive job posting, 10 application questions that test skill fit and cultural fit, 1 email template I can send to those that are potentially a good fit, but I'm unsure if I want to interview where I test their skill fit, and 2 sets of interview questions, 1 that tests cultural fit and 1 that tests skills fit. I want to try to avoid as much back and forth as possible, and I want to filter out the wrong people as early on in the process as possible. I'll start by giving you our company values, then I'll tell you what I want them to do, then you write for me what I've requested. Let me know when you're ready. I've typed in our vision, our mission, our values. I've also listed out some responsibilities that I want this person to be able to take on and some qualifications I need them to have before we consider working together. Okay, so the first thing it came up with is the job posting. It says Director of Operations, Scaling with Systems. It restated our vision, our mission, and then it actually clearly laid out the responsibilities and the qualifications. So this looks honestly really good. I could probably copy and paste this and put this somewhere like LinkedIn hiring. Then it gave me the email template for the potential fit. So it says, Dear candidate's name, hope this message finds you well. I've gone through your application for the Director of Operations role, and I'm intrigued by your qualifications. Before proceeding to a formal interview, I'd like to further assess your skills and alignment with our company values. Could you please share a detailed experience or case study where you demonstrated extreme ownership in the face of operational challenges and used AI or data-driven approach to solve an operational bottleneck? So this is the email that we're sending to those applications that I think have some good qualities to it, but I don't necessarily want to hop on an interview yet. And then finally, it's actually given the interview questions to me. So first it shows me the cultural fit interview questions because we break them down into 2 different sections. First, to make sure that someone's a culture fit. I don't care how talented somebody is. If they're not a culture fit, we're not going to work with them. And then the second is going to be a skill fit to make sure that they actually have the skills necessary to execute these responsibilities. Out of over 400 applications, I've been able to narrow it down to just 6 interviews using AI. Number 2, video editing. We used to have multiple people in our media department we called timestampers. Their only job was to filter through the hundreds of long form videos that we create every month and find the best clips for our editors. We've been able to now replace up to 90% of their job using the AI platform Descript. We can easily search for keywords or topics that we know perform well on our social media channels, and then export that clip and edit it in a matter of seconds. For example, here's a long form video that I've uploaded into Descript, and we know that on our social media channels, the words lead generation typically perform really well. So all I have to do is search for the word lead generation, and it's going to give me all the different instances where the word lead generation is being used inside of that video. Then I can just highlight specific sections that I know will perform well based on what the topic and context is around the lead generation words. And then in a matter of seconds, we can just export it and edit it. Number 3, lawyers. Let me preface this by saying that I am not a lawyer, and you should all consult with one before you take any legal advice. But we all know that consulting with a lawyer can be kind of costly. I know that my lawyer charges around $800 an hour. So when I ask him to review documents or create them from scratch, it's not uncommon for me to get a $10,000 bill. Now I use artificial intelligence to shorten this process and cut my costs by up to 80%. The secret is in using ChatGPT to do the majority of the heavy lifting for you, so your lawyer is just spending their time proofreading. For example, in one of our offers, we slightly changed what our scope of work was, but I wanted to make sure that our contracts were still legally binding with this change. So I used ChatGPT to make the necessary adjustments first and then send it to my lawyer for proofreading. I'd like you to review my package description and scope of work to make sure it is accurate and legally binding and without error. Can you do that? At which point ChatGPT responded and said that although it will strive to provide the most accurate and helpful advice possible, it's an artificial intelligence with a cutoff date in 2021, and it's not a substitute for legal advice. But remember, we're not using this to substitute legal advice. We're using this to do the majority of the heavy lifting for the legal advice. At which point I copied in our package description and scope of work, and then it actually gave me back a few things that I might want to change. Like number one, a clearer definition of services. Number two, more detailed terms for the refunds. And then when I actually asked, how would you get a clearer definition of services, it ended up creating me a new revised statement that I could use inside of the contract that I can then send to my lawyer to proofread.